Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Corey Thorne, the spiritual healer, coming in to talk a little bit more about the cards. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Just waiting to see if we actually have anyone in here today. Just waiting through, just going to write myself a note. All right. Okay, so we're just letting people join in. I can't see if there's, oh, here we go. Good morning, Tracy and Carlene. And Tracy, got two Tracys first thing this morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are coming in to do card number 11 today. It kind of falls totally in alignment to my whole morning, to some amazing messages I have been receiving through channel. As I truly feel like all this time that I have been off, that I have been not well, was all about making me be still, making me be quiet so that I can really take in what's been happening and what's been changing within me. Nothing this drastic in life leaves us on, you know, leaves us the same. Like if we don't change through some of these experiences that we're having, then there's something more that we're so stagnant and holding on tight to. So good morning, Jessica. Yes, the sunshine is beautiful. It really, really is a gorgeous day out there. And so I just want to have my phone here so I can see. So today, as you can see on the screen, if you're new and you're just joining in for the first time, then you are seeing this card. Just let me see. So you're seeing, first, I want to say we're talking about in the mornings on my show now, on my page. I'm like, just to say, for all the people that say, how come you're not doing this? How come you're not doing this? Because I don't have to right now. That's not the energy I'm in. So the Everyday Goddess Oracle cards, that's what we're talking about. They are my deck of cards that are being created. I'm damn proud of these things, so I want to show them. We are making some changes to them. This is the beta program. They're not available for sale, but I'm walking you through the journey of the cards. And this is kind of the journey of More Than Existing, the journey through my book, which I'm trying to find one that doesn't have something on it at the moment. And so the journey through More Than Existing, which is also the Everyday Goddess of really, truly finding out what it's like to be able to regain yourself, to be able to, regain your dignity, your integrity, your pride, your confidence. Everything that it has taken for me to get here today was all about me having to make a choice to more than exist. I had to say I was done, and I had to be done living in my shadow. I had to be done trying to run from my shadow. I had to be done trying to fucking apologize for being who I was and what I was. And I also had to be done letting everything attack my heart and hurt my heart. That I said, people forget that I can hear and see, feel, sense everything. And so when all of that changed for me, when that made a shift and a change in my life, everything started to change. I share this work and I share what I'm doing in here for the reason of if one word that I say today can give somebody else hope and faith, then I'm doing something that's for the highest good. And that's why I'm here. And that's why right now you're not seeing me so much pick out individual people. I'm giving messages that can resonate with everybody. It hurts my heart sometimes to leave people, feeling as if you're begging for begging for a card, begging for a message, and I'm like, that's not fair to people. And I feel like that to me all the time feels like it's like that takes away a piece of you when you feel like you left empty, like you left with nothing. This morning sessions is me sharing the oracle cards, sharing this deck of cards. You may be someone who may not be able to afford to even buy the cards when they come out. Or you may be somebody who just feels as if they can't bring them into their house because of conditioning. And so this is the opportunity to share my love, to share my work, to share what I do in the most loving ways. So the reason why you're seeing each and every card is because this is the journey to knowing that we are all equal. We are all we all deserve to be shown dignity in this human world. Everybody. And that's so important. And so for me, and these morning classes and these morning sessions that I'm doing with you guys are so much more than me just being able to show off a deck of cards. It's about me not picking and choosing anybody in particular, about me not having to, say, guides, please pick someone who hasn't been chosen. It's not about me having to feel guilty when I leave that I didn't choose somebody. It's about coming in and to be able to share a message, to be able to give a message that in some way, I hope if you stay from beginning to end, that it resonates with you, that it hits some place in your heart, that it makes a difference for you. And if it doesn't make a difference for you, maybe it'll make a difference for somebody else today. And so the cards are about it's about how we appear, how we show up in the world. It's about our attitudes. It's about how we keep holding on to, whether we show off, whether we act as if we hate the world, whether or not we act as if we know it all, or we're trying to be in control, or we're trying to perfect it. And right now, this whole sense of of being woke, and this whole sense of this whole cancel out and do this and do that is all about trying to perfect one story. Life will never be one story. Your life will never be one story. You will never have one identity. You will switch and change. And the more you hold yourself crippling to an identity, or trying to be the image of a loved one or an ancestry or a whole generation of the past, the more that you will hold yourself captive in your own story. And that's where this card comes in today. It's that temptation. And so when we truly can, move beyond that. And so it's the master number 11 is how this card ended up. And this card is so magnificently done that it actually is one line. There is one thread that connects all the way from the angelic being, the divine feminine at the top, all the way down. And so when people say to me sometimes, "Oh, you're a feminist," da da da, and I'm like, "No, I'm a part of the divine feminine." And so divine feminine means that I walk the middle line. I hold this space right here, which is where it is the absolute strongest being of your core to be, is that over here I don't have to accept everyone else's truth. I don't have to be guilted, but I don't have to strong arm somebody into my belief system. I believe that when we make a choice to choose to be a part of the divine. And so lately, as of last night, and Lisa Starr Francis, if you are here, I love you. She is teaching a class in Corey School of Magic, and I'm in that. And I'm in that class. And last night was one of the most uncomfortable experiences of my life, but the one that I needed the most. And as I came down to the end, all I heard was I was releasing the black heart. I was releasing the black heart, and everything that has hurt my heart of being shamed, guilted, blamed, everything that has tempted me to quit, to run away, to not be me, to apologize when I shouldn't apologize. Everything just felt like it was leaving. And so in that journey of mastering your life, and so we say, "Oh, I see 1111. I see 1111. Oh, I see 1111. Oh my God, I wonder what that means." Why do you have to go wonder what it means? Why do we have to go search? Mastering your life is sitting in a pause in that moment. 11. Ah, thank you. And that's when I see 1111, I don't get instantly into Googling what it means of the day. I wonder what that means today. Oh my God, that must mean something. If we're seeking and searching so much for some sort of meaning in the material world, we are searching so deeply, we're digging so deeply for something, as if we're like groundhogs, right? It's like we're rooting down to make a home. We're burying ourselves in that core, in the core of the story, that we get so caught. That hooks us. That's where we get caught. And so when we can, because we have this thought in our mind to be this, to be an individual means that I'm not, I don't fit in nowhere. I'm not like anybody else. There's no one like me. I don't know anyone else that's like me. Well, that's all bullshit. That's the stories that we tell ourselves. And so as we discussed last night in class was, that's the perception that you create. You create the perception of that story, and you then live in it, and you define it, and you make the enemy, and you make your people the enemy. And then you're so tempted to break the threads, break connections, or try to stay connected to a story, or to hold on so tight. And so the magic, beautiful wonder of that one thread, is the ability to be returned to oneness, to wholeness, to come back home to self. And so my work that I'm working on now is in dignity. It is in returning dignity. I'm like, we have so lost that in this human world right now, so that we talk down, we make it acceptable that we talk to people as if they're dirt, as if they're nothing. That is so fucking wrong. And I don't care who they are. Dignity, man. Dignity, it matters. And that if we allow ourselves to become that, or we speak to ourselves that way, we are not doing service to our highest good. And we are not living within the presence of the divine mother, the divine father, the divine light of anything. To live divinely, to live a life that is divinely place is a place that takes us to unity. And so the name Unity came, and so when we first named her, we're like temptation. So she's the card of temptation, but her name is Unity. You see that? What a magical little thing that is, because we get triggered by words, right? As Lisa Starr Francis says. And so we get triggered by words. And so words we tie to temptation, to, that whole essence of not being good or always doing the wrong thing. And so that when you look at unity, is that all the things that took us to our shadows, all the things that tempted us, that pulled us away from ourselves, that took us so far away from the home of our own heart, those things, they don't define us. They don't define us. And when you stay defined to that story, well, I'm this kind of person, I'm the person who, who people called this name, or I'm the one who slept around, so I'm this kind of person. I did this, I'm that kind of person. She did that. Oh my God, don't let her around your husband because she did that in her life, because she's that kind of person. Or, oh, she's from the wrong side of the tracks, or she's over here, or he's over there, or he did this. And so you should never date him because he did this to my friend, or he did that. Do you see how those stories expand? And so those stories are also created about you, right? And you create those stories about you. When we learn to be able to let it go, when we learn to be able to move beyond that, so many things change. I'll look at the comments in a second. I got to get this message out. And so the moment that starts to play out in our lives is the moment that our lives change. And if you notice, these women are butt ass naked, but there's one little flower holding that middle one who's looking in a new perspective, that she don't have to show the most sacred parts of her, just because she doesn't feel the need to share everything, just because she doesn't feel the need to be available today. And so she's so tempted to have to be a part of everything in every moment. But do you really need to be? Do you need to be constantly? Do you need to answer a message right away? Do you need to be there for everybody? Do you need to be? There's times when we don't need to be, because that need to be is us wanting to be needed. And so when we have that desire to be needed, we are moving ourselves away from the truth. And so the 11:11, when you see it, is to pause and think, how about I spend some time with me? It's an initiation. It's starting to initiate your connection to your higher self, to your wholeness, to the Trinity, to the divine. So that connection to whole self, it's initiation into you, and not initiation to, oh, like the angels are coming to take me, and now I'm going to become some big awakened being, and I'm going to be specially gifted, and I'm going to have something that nobody else in the world has, and I'm going to be better than everybody else. And, oh, that divine light is going to awaken me to be better and perfect my life, and I'll never have a problem or worry. No, not a truth. You are human. You are here for the human experience. And there's such beauty in the human experience when we stop looking at everything as bad and everything is dark, and we stop being so tempted to keep trying to you know stay in the stories of misery and pain and suffering. Sorry, as I'm shifting and moving my legs. And so when we look at this, and when we look at the card closer, and we see the mixture of colors, we see the yellow, we see the green, we see the blue, we see the purple, we see that rainbowy connection. So when you allow yourself to come from your lower vibrating energy, when you come from that human emotional connection, you rise above the heart. You allow yourself to speak, to ask your higher self before you ask a friend. And as a life coach, we always say, what's the difference between a life coach and a friend? Is that your friends will always have an opinion and judgment. And they'll always be critical at some level. A life coach will give you the questions so that you can question yourself, so that you can question yourself to be able to dig deeper to your big why, to why. And trust me, I've answered many of my own. I've just been on another massive journey. And a big part of the work that I just don't feel that is going to be of service to me in the future, I'm going to start changing and shifting my business. And it's for my highest good, is that a I spent too many years being tempted by the desire to be a workaholic, to always give of myself, and to a point that is exhaustion. And so finding the change in that is that I'm not here to work so hard. I'm here now at this 50, at turning 50, at this stage of life, to be able to let my vulnerable self also have the experience that includes me. That includes me. I do all this work, and I'm like, I do all this work so that I can help other people. And what about me? And that's what you have to ask yourself. What about me? And so this beautiful card and who she is. And if you notice she's wearing a halo at the very top. Well, we have a dream project that sits in the business plan called Slanted Halo. And Slanted Halo is going to be a huge part of my future somehow. I don't know how. I don't know. It's like it's going to be a nonprofit kind of foundation to be able to help people. And so in that journey, it'll be about being able to, when we can get, when it's time and it's allowing, because it's like, so people say over the years, well, we got to get this started. And I'm like, no, you got to slow down. You got to allow things to be prepared, to be ready. And so in that, we'll be able to help people, and help people in the way of, sometimes people don't have the rent for the month. Some people need clothes to wear to an interview. I've been one of those women. I've been that mother. I've been that mother who had no food. And in my temptation of, sell myself out and just settle for something rather than patiently waiting and trusting God, I remember, and I'm going to tell this story. My daughter was a baby, and I literally I had closed my business. My family had, we had gone through a lot of things in our lives during that time, and I had this little baby, and there was a day that I had nothing, nothing. I had no. She needed formula, and I had no formula for her, and I had no money to go get formula. I wouldn't have money until the next day. I was waiting for. It was the one time in my life I think I was on unemployment, and I was waiting for this money to come so I could get formula, but we ran out. And so I reached out and I asked somebody for $20, and they told me no. And it was somebody who was special to me. And at the time I thought, how cruel, like I was so hurt by that. And I held on to that hurt for a lot of years. And then I realized what she did for me was a blessing. She wasn't doing it to be mean. She was making sure I did not stay stuck. She was making sure I would remember that moment so that I would never fucking be there again. That I would work 2 jobs. I would do whatever it takes, but I would never be in that situation again. So I fed my daughter I mixed up Jello that day, Jello in a bottle without, and served her that as something in her bottle, just so she had something in her bottle besides water. She wouldn't drink water at the time. And then I poured her, and then I made her food. I mashed potatoes. I did all those things, and that's what she ate. She was eating very early in life, and I remember that day, and I remember it very clearly. But that was a pivotal point in my life. So you will have those pivotal points in your life. What you do in those moments, I could have lashed out at her. I could have did anything. I just said, okay, thank you. And I still loved her, and she still was a part of my life forever. Um, but that moment changed everything. So I could have untied, I could have separated from the family. I could have made the choice, say, I'm breaking all bonds, I'm out of here, or the friends that I had, and I'm done. No, no. I held on, and I recognized the things in me that, when we talk about you need to cut the cords to people, Can you do that? Can you really? Or can you figure out what it is that you keep staying committed to? What part of you do you stay committed to that is not serving your highest good? One of the big things I discovered was that I stayed committed to the story of hurt. And so I stayed committed to hurt. And in committed to hurt was that I was also committed to making sure other people didn't hurt. And in making sure other people didn't hurt, sometimes that hurt me more. So letting go of that commitment. And so, but also remembering those defining moments that you have in that moment, an opportunity to allow it to drop you to your knees and stay there, or to rise up. I made a choice to rise up. So when people tell me the stories about being a single mom, da da da, and I'm like, I did it. Oh, I can't do this because I'm a single mom. I'm like, don't use your single mom as a reason why you cannot do things. Use it as a desire to why you can do things, why you should fight a little bit harder for you, why you should make that choice to not be tempted to stay a victim to that story, to not stay a victim to that word. You have an opportunity to rise above that. Jump on the other side of that. Seek and search every way that you can come above that. And that's where this card truly came from. Do you know how I got that? Support. I didn't stop asking. I start asking the right place. I start asking the divine. I start asking source. I start asking God, show me the way. Show me the way. I don't know what it's going to be. I left everything. There was times that I had to make some big changes in my life to do that. So you can't stay in the comforts of your misery and become that new person. You can't stay there and do all the same things you were always doing and expect change. And when you unite with your light inside, you start to be able to see that light can see in the dark. And when you can see that light can see in the dark, you can be the change that you want to be in your world. You have to make that choice. You have to make those changes. And over the past, I'm like, I get these messages every now and then, and people say, oh, well, you told me this and it didn't happen. I'm like, so tell me your story. Tell me what you didn't do. Tell me what you didn't do on your part, or what you're continuing to do on your part that's keeping you trapped in your story. Because that's the problem. We want to blame the world for everything that is happening to us. And we're so tempted by that. And when we let go, so we turn away from everything. You can see one is standing strong in her core. She's in the power of threes, right? She's standing strong. She's vulnerable. She's naked. She's exposed, but she's at peace. The other one's got a new perspective. She's thinking, you know what? I have to think this through. The other one has turned her back. But what if she turned her back? Is she walking away, or is she walking towards? Where is she going? And if you look real close, you can see that the infinity is right in there. There is a little infinity knot that may take us on some different paths, but we always, when we trust and when we hold true to that, we are here to be the master, to master the journey of life, we start to walk towards that. And so you may walk many different paths, but if you get yourself into a labyrinth and you believe you're trapped and that you believe you can't get out, then you forgot how you got in. And when you forget, and when you remember how you got in, you remember how you got out. And so that's how we find our way. And this beautiful card and all that we'll do throughout life is that if we stay to the identity of how we identify ourselves, we get trapped. Be willing to move beyond. Be willing to move beyond. And this beautiful unity is that continual connection. We are never alone. There's millions that are just like us. I'm not any more special than anybody, neither are you, but we're all worthy. We're all worthy, and that's the truth. And we're all worthy of the divine love. We're all worthy, and we're never left abandoned. The problem is we abandon ourselves. And when we abandon ourselves, we abandon everything that is the opportunity for us to grow, to know love. And that's where we sit. And so this beautiful card is about finding the beauty within. It's like, don't let the material world define your beauty, and don't believe that you can put on enough makeup and enough hairstyles and enough clothes to ever fix the inside. It doesn't work. Or that it can hide, that all that mask that we put on, the armor we put on, will ever hide, because your attitude shows no matter what we show, and we show through it all. So setting ourselves free. Don't be tempted. Take it, show yourself mercy. Strip down all of those stories, strip down all that armor, strip it all down, and just let yourself be. Let yourself be. There's such beauty in allowing yourself to be. I put the card back up again, Tracy. And so these are the deck of cards. Hello, everybody who's joining in. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Gail, you have to meet beyond in order to receive better things. I agree. Big things come with you. They need it to get to the root of the problem. Yes, exactly, right? You've got to get to the root. And the back of the Oracle cards is a portal. It's a door to the portal. And so this is the temptation card. This is Unity. She's number 11. I am going to put her back in the pack. And she's telling me to pull a 3-card spread. So for those who are in here today, you'll get the 3-card spread as well. And for those watching later, you'll also get it. Colleen, thank you for this reminder. Caught myself many times, tempted to go back to old self. And now I've been letting go and creating a new woman with light and dark. Yes. Yes. You my roots, Lucasta. Thanks, Joy. See, I'm coming back. I'm getting better. I did go, yes, the root. Speaking about the root, I did go yesterday and get my injections put back in my spine. I got a lot of things happening. I'm like, I appreciate people who message and say, oh, have you done this? Have you checked out this? You do have to remember I am 50 and I've been not struggling. I don't struggle with it no more. I've had this since I was 30. And if there's not anything out there I haven't tried, I am a spiritual healer. And I have been told that modern day medicine is also sometimes needed. And so there, those people are healers very much so. So the modern day medicine is that I have to have surgery and that surgery will make a difference. And so, I trust that God also put doctors and fine surgeons here so that we could take good care of ourselves. And that's the truth. And as a healer, as someone who works in the industry, as someone who can see through the body, someone who can see those things that are happening, I'm very aware of what I have. I'm very aware how much work I've done. This is the difference. If it wasn't for my faith and my work, I wouldn't be standing today. And that is the blessing. I am still standing. And a little airbags in between my spine is now going to make a big difference to how long I can stand. So there is so much that is happening. So Ellie, such amazing messages. Just being ourselves and letting our light shine brightly is enough. Yes, it is. Exactly. And I would say, don't use your children as excuses why you can't do things. Don't try to correct your story through your children. Don't use the place where you are as a reason why you can't move beyond there. That's all stories that we use. And so I'm taking the card down, coming back to me, and I'm going to give a couple cards from the deck in hopes that they can help you all. And that is my why to this morning practices. I mean, I tried to do them in the morning. This morning practice that I'm doing is that it can be for everyone. It is about unity. It's that everyone receives a message. Everyone gets those messages. So, whoa. As everyone, they want to give you every card in the deck. Hold on. Let's try this again. So, thank you, Gail. Thank you, Claire. So our first card of our 3-card spread that I'm going to give you guys. Exactly, right? Exactly, Linda. And it was a big message. Today's a big message. And so the very first one, remember the flower that I'm going to put Unity back up. Hold on. Unity's coming back on screen. I'm leaving her up there. Damn that. She's staying up. She's exposed. She's vulnerable. We got nudity on Facebook today. Look at that. And so they might try to take the video down. Who knows? Because there's a bum showing. And so she's also saying, kiss my ass, by the way. Sometimes you're tempted to tell the world to kiss your ass, and sometimes you need to tell the world to kiss your ass. And so there's sometimes that you have to walk away. And as you walk away, I always say, just think when you're walking away from something with pride, with that confidence, saying, you know what, I fucking did the right thing. And then you walk and you move. That's when you can tell the world to kiss your ass. So, so this is the beautiful, our first card out in the 3 cards is Sacred, and her name is Sarah, and she is our beautiful, beautiful Sarah. And I wonder if maybe I can bring her up. Let me see if I can get her on the screen. Media, upload. If I can find her, she can come onto the screen as well. Let me see. They're hard to see sometimes because I'm trying to look at them on a... Interesting. I don't see her. Oh, well. We'll not bring her up right now. But this is Sarah. This is beautiful Sarah. And you see she's cloaked in the beautiful white. She's, you know, she's being held safely. She's divinely protected. We don't have to be so guarded. And you can see the little willow twigs in her tree, in her hair. And you notice her skin color. She's that beautiful platinum divine blue. And so the divine light is sapphire. And so that divine light of that sapphire crystal, that crystal blue light is that divine healing when we've accepted all parts of us, when we allow ourselves to be all of who we are. And she's just gorgeous, and she's peacefully and respectfully honoring herself by that. She doesn't have to look directly. She doesn't have to look directly. Here she can stay focused, but she can also honor her sadness. She can honor all parts of her. She can honor the fact that she has been through the darkness. And if you see the willow twigs in her hair, she's a part of nature, but she's walked the journey. She's walked the trail. She's been coming through those bushes, and she's still that beautiful self, and there's such beauty. And so this is the first of the cards that we're pulling for you, 7, 8. And so she's also a 10. She's 37, which can be a 10, or it can be a 4. So it's like divinely, I want to say, divinely guided. She's being divinely guided to allow herself to start to find her before she has to announce it to the world. And that's kind of where I am right now, is there's a lot that's changing in me that I don't feel the need that I have to share with the whole world right now. I don't stop my journey of healing. I didn't hit a certain place and publish a book and make cards and say, oh, I made it. No, I said, now I have a lot of work to do. Now I have a lot of work to do. And so in that place of doing that work, that's the card you got yesterday, Tracy. Yay, right? And I'm like, no, I can hold this. And so knowing that when you keep trying to force and push everyone to see you, see me, look at me, accept me, the person that is not accepting you is you. So when you allow yourself to sit back and to embrace the journey and to feel who you're becoming, accept yourself. And so when we, in that centrifuge of us, is that what we allow in to brighten our light ends up being the truth and the truest parts of us. And so finding the truest part of you is the most beautiful thing that you can do for you. And then our second card, I don't know why Sarah's, oh my goodness gracious. Yes, Linda Green, these messages are some big today. Cosmic Beauty. And this is Zoran. And Zoran is this radiantly beautiful, beautiful, beautiful card. And I'm just, maybe she's here. I don't know why all my cards are not popping up. I got her. So she's just loading. And so this is beautiful Zoran. And she's the cosmic beauty. So when you see beautiful Zoran, you see her shining, you see her standing, you see all the tones in her hair, you see the healing of her heart, And so there's healing in our eyes. And so when we can see through the eyes of others, the things that either bother us, disturb us, or that we love about others, those are the things that we also have to see reflecting back into us. And when we see it through our eyes, it goes to our heart. And when it goes to our heart, or it goes to our head. And so remember, the eyes can lie to us. And so when we look back through our lives and we go back through our journey and we go deep enough into our stories to say, how I keep telling this story is through the eyes of a 3-year-old, through the eyes of when I was 5, through the eyes of when I'm 20. Am I still 20? So if I would have probably told some of these stories of from when I was really angry in life, was I probably would have told them in a way that I would have represented it through the eyes of a 20-year-old that was being a bit of a freaking rebel, through the 23-year-old that was hurt, tainted, had been cheated on, had been betrayed, had gone through. And betrayal causes, and I don't know if you know this, betrayal causes PTSD. Going through things like miscarriages, abortions, those type of things cause PTSD. And because it's like almost like there's things that happen to us that you're supposed to just let go. But those are wounds, and they become the unseen wounds of us. And so in this deep-seated essence of when you bring those stories, when you bring it into your heart of who you are today, and if you look at her face, and I say the shape around her face kind of looks like the shape of like the vagina. Not gonna lie, but it's also the shape of that whole sense of that cosmic awakening, that rebirth, that opening, and what comes out. So we do come out to when we let the old stories die, and we give birth to the new us. We are pushing ourselves into, you are coming through the cosmic of the divine feminine energy, and you notice her hair is the orange, the red, the yellow. So the reds are the strings of the ancestry. That's the roots of the ancestral lines of us that we have to heal. The orange is the sacral, and it's in that womanly part of us, and masculine as well, of whichever you carry. And then it's also and you see the streak of the yellow, and that is your sacral, that is your power center, that divine. And then you have your heart and this green heart. And so this is where Raphael comes in and Jesus energy comes in, and that strong sense of healing when we heal our heart. So when you heard me speak in the beginning, I said a black heart. It's like I had to heal through my black heart. And so the blackness of heart is not bad. It is the grief the things we didn't grieve, what we never allowed ourselves to grieve, what we didn't think we had time to grieve. And so, when someone dies and work gives you 3 days off, you got 3 days off to grieve. Now get back to work. Now get over that. Now just get back to doing things. Well, we never really grieve. So I know when I went through the abortion that I went through many, many years ago, I had that abortion. And then I never, it was something that was against everything that I wanted to do. In my heart, I knew, but I was in such a depression. I never dealt with the depression. I never dealt with the pain. I never dealt with anything. And the same thing back to the story of me and the milk with my daughter. I had postpartum depression. I had gone through a birth of my child. I lost my first business. My parents divorced. My mother's mother died. My grandfather's father died. My dad's major company that he owned was taken out from underneath his hands. We lost everything, and I had a newborn child, and I had made a choice to choose to raise her on my own. And so all of that all compounded, and I had postpartum, what was never dealt with. Everyone would judge about what I was doing and how I was behaving, how I was acting. Not one stopped to think and maybe we should sit her down and get her some counseling because she's depressed, she's sad. Nobody knew what to do back in those days. And so now when you look back at your life at the times when you look at that and you look through life and you think, where's the places and times when I didn't get to grieve my story, when I didn't get to grieve? And, in grief is sad. And I would always say I was sad. No, I didn't. I was still grieving. And there's no time limit on grief, right? And so when you look at this beautiful woman, you look at the healing, you look at the magnetic energy that pulls you to her eyes, is that she's looking into your eyes and telling you that she sees the beauty in you, no matter how ugly you think you may have become, no matter how ugly the story, no matter how hurt you are, no matter how you've lashed it out other people because you're hurt. There's still beauty. And the beauty is internal and the beauty is inside. And so just seeing that you can see you through her, that there's an opportunity that you don't have to hide in the shadows, that you get to come forth and come out no matter what. The stories of the past don't define, but the stories of the past hold us captive when we don't allow our hearts to heal. And I remember somebody saying to me, "Who are you to be able to work with Mother Mary? What makes you so special?" Who am I not to be able to work with Mother Mary? Who am I not to be able to work with the likes of the divine and God? Who are you not to be able to work? Who validates that worth for you? Who says I'm a good enough person? It's those who have been through the challenges and struggles that knows what it's like to be judged, who then can step forward. And so Mother Mary showed me this morning, and I always carry this with me as this was how my connection with her started. But she keeps pointing this to me, and she shows me this little pebble in the rock. Now, did that little pebble cause that big crack? Did that fall from the sky and was that God caused that big destruction and that crack in the rock? Is it this or is it that? There's so many stories that could be there. Or is that rock causing that much problem, much pain? What if we take all the focus away and say, you know what, it happened. So everything did happen. It happened. Somehow that rock ended up in there. We don't know how that rock ended up in there. Somehow it ended up in there. So it ended up in there. So what? It happened. So do we put our focus into trying to figure out who's to blame for it? Do we try to figure out what happened? Do we try to figure out, someone to lay blame on? Do we keep trying to blame the world? Or do we make a choice to look at it as a new, beautiful piece of work and say, oh, well, that's magnet. I noticed that. I seen that. But now let me bring my focus back to the statue that was carved with such love. And let me bring my focus back to me. Bring your focus back to the statue. Bring your focus back to you, not to where everything else went wrong. And so being able to move beyond that is so many messages of love. I got to read Claire's. I went through a similar situation, losing a child or losing children, then raising a new baby alone, leaving an abusive relationship and nobody helped. They only judged. Yes, right. And so there's so many things, so when you look of where there was, I would say, I did have help. I'm not going to say I didn't have help, Claire. I had a grandmother and a mother and a father. Like I had people there for me all the time, but you feel so alone. But to help me through those parts, people didn't help me through that. People never stopped and said, you have depression. You need to get some help. People never said, Corey, stop, breathe, slow down, stop running. Because people didn't know how to help, right? The big help came in the one person I thought was doing the harmful thing to me by telling me they wouldn't lend me the money. That's what started to change that for me. Because they knew that I was not living my best life and to my potential. And that's where it changed. And so this is the cosmic. And so when you see that divine light, this is empowerment. The empowerment comes from us making a choice to choose us. But it doesn't come from us doing it all alone. It comes from us recognizing that we can't do it alone and that we have to heal beyond the things that darken us. Because the more that we continue to be stuck in those stories, right? I did the work. Exactly, Claire. I did the freaking work. And that's what you have to tell yourself. That's when I talk about the story at the end. So I always say, see yourself at the end of your stories and see yourself still standing. You did that. You got yourself there. So you did have confidence. You did have faith. You had something that gave you the strength and the courage to get you to be at the end of that story, to still be standing, to still be there. And that's the truth. And that's what I said. I did this fucking work. I put in the work. And that's what you have to remember. You are doing the work. You are putting the work into you when you make that choice. When you keep waiting for someone else to do it for you, it's never going to happen. That's not how it works. And it's like, but one big thing that changed, and in this cosmic beauty, what made me feel like I had to, almost like that I kept losing more and more of my beautiful self, was the fact that I took responsibility and ownership for somebody else's bad behavior. Remember that when you keep taking ownership and responsibility for somebody else's bad behavior and you lay it into your heart as if it's yours to carry, you will carry that That will sink you. It'll weigh you down. It becomes the weight on your shoulders, the weight on your body, the weight on your mind. And then that turns us ugly. And that, I don't mean ugly in person. I mean, it turns us ugly towards ourselves. We start to believe it is our story. And we start to believe that we have to carry that. And that's not a truth. And so when you can move beyond that and say, no effing way, I take responsibility for my role. My role was in how I showed up. My role was in my persistence. My role was in my desire to make everybody, to keep trying to work on things that I should have let die. My desire was to be wanted, was to be needed. Those things, my responsibility. You're not responsible for somebody else's bad behavior. Frickin' remember that, and don't let that be taken from you. And so when you do that work and you fight hard for you, then you get to show up into the light of love. And that makes a big difference. So Claire, the big thing that when you look at that, leaving that abusive relationship, that's the girl you look into her eyes. You look into the eyes of that girl. When you see that woman, you look in her eyes and you see her. Right? And Ashley, I held a lot of resentment when my brother wasn't around in my mom's last moments and left me to make the hard decision alone. But I'm letting it go so it won't consume me. So I'm going to give you a little trick for letting go. So letting go means bring it home. So when we let go, bring it into your heart. Bring it into your heart. Go right back to that statement of, I had to make the hard decisions. I had to make the hard decisions. What of me making those hard decisions am I still angry about? Leave the brother out of the story. Leave the brother out of the story. And then change, and then I want you to write that out, Ashley. And then you go into why am I allowing it to, why does it have such a hold on me? And what of this story am I finally ready to set free? What of this story am I finally ready to set free? And that will make a big difference because you're writing it to yourself. You're not writing it to your brother. Write it to you. Bring it back to you because this is your story. And because the energy goes out as projection towards him, it's always you depleting your energy towards that direction instead of letting that energy come back in so that you can feel that love internal. Bring it home to you. And Claire, are you still here? You're welcome, Ashley. And Claire, I also have something for you. Yes. Okay. So I'm looking at your statement. I went through a similar situation. So losing. So this is. I keep getting pulled to the word losing in your statement. I keep getting pulled to. So the cosmic beauty is that what I'm getting for you is in losing the old me, what have I discovered? In losing the old me, and I mean having no stories to her. In losing the old me, what will I discover? In losing the old me, so in losing the old stories, in losing the old stories, what will I discover? Because what you're going to discover is a win, right? And so this is how you're going to find your win. In losing my old stories, what will I discover? And I don't know why I was just told to tell you that question or to ask yourself that. And that's going to lead you to a mantra. That's going to lead you to a mantra. And that mantra, then I want you to write out. So the mantra could be, I am strong, I am strength. It could be something. But when that comes to you, write it out and put it somewhere. Put it on your fridge. And then every day I want you to dissect like every word that's in it. What does I represent for me? What does strength represent to me? And start to look beyond the words. And then our next card that we have, brother issues here. Brother issues for you, Trish? Yeah. Family issues can be complicated, right? Okay, hold on. I'm just trying to get to the next card. So family issues can be complicated. So our next card that we have, I think I seen her. So we can open up her. But this is also with children's issues. I can tell with family issues is that most of the stories we remember. Whoa, look at that. I didn't know it could do that. So in most family issues, in most stories with siblings and children, the way that we remember, like all of the childhood stories, is because somebody keeps repeating them to us, and we believe they are our memories. My shortest readings are 90 minutes online, Nicole, and it's in the schedule. It goes. It's a 90, or sorry, it's 90 minutes. 30-minute reading. There's 30-minute readings for, I think it's like $90 in on the website. 30-minute readings. That's the shortest. I don't do anything that's below that at all. Because what I found when I was doing that was I ended up working another 15 minutes for free anyway, because it's just such a, and so, and 15 minutes just doesn't do justice to getting a message. 30 minutes. And so and it shows up when you go into the schedule. When you click on the spiritual intuitive guide, it'll just give you the highest priced one. But then when you click it, it gives you all the availabilities. That's just how that's set up. In losing your stories, Claire, in losing my story, in losing my old story, what did I gain? In losing my old story, what did I gain? So then you're taking out all the person, the energy, right? It's like, in losing my old story, what did I gain? And so then our next card that we got, this is our third card. So this is looking into our future self. This is being able to project ourselves of creating our new future, creating our future, our new future in the present moment, living as if it's happening, living as if it's going to be unfolding for us, but not being so connected to an expectation of an outcome. When you don't have an expected outcome, I have no expected outcome of what my life will be ever, because it changes so freaking much all the time. Good. Thank you, Claire. And so this is Peaceful Perspectives, and this is Paisley. And so when we named her, when my granddaughter was first conceived, she came to me that day and she said, I'm here. And I just knew my daughter was on her honeymoon in Hawaii, and that is where the portal for the dragon energy actually comes in. If you ever, when I start teaching my realmy kind of work, you'll get to know more about me and the dragons and the unicorns and the realms and the fairies and my mystical world that I love so much, that shows up within us. And so I knew she was there, and she kept saying, and I kept getting that she should be Paisley, like Paisley, Paisley, Paisley. And so Paisley to me represented two very special women in my life. And they were two of the most beautiful human beings I ever met. And they were Pansy and Daisy. And they were twin sisters. And there's my grandmother and her sister. And they're a part of a 7 of 7 sisters. And they're very magical little beings. They're also beautiful. And so Pansy and Daisy were very much, when they got together, they were like, oh, they were so funny. But my aunt, my great aunt, was very strong in her faith, and my grandmother was very strong in just her faith of just being a good person, and both were beautiful human beings. And they taught me a lot about peace and about contentment. And so Peaceful Perspective truly is about contentment. When you make peace with your past, when you blend together the negative and the positive, the light and the dark, and you bring it back right here home to you, right? When you come into here, and it's the come together. It's when you join together with your shadow self, your soul, your when you join with your shadow self and your true self, and you just say, you know, I'll allow all parts of me to walk through my truth with love. But you let your truth walk forward, and you let your truth be the light that guides, and you let your truth be trailing the only leader who really leads us, and that is the divine light. That is the light of source. And so you see there's a beautiful shawl of iridescent white, and that white is blowing into the breeze, and there's a beautiful light shine on her. She has three doves, and she's setting herself free. You don't see her other hand because she don't have to keep talking about, she don't have to keep showing, she don't have to keep justifying her why. She don't need to be validated anymore. All that is in the past. She's giving that, and where she gives her energy in her life and what she contributes to is hers, how she shows up. But she's peacefully embracing a new future. She's peacefully embracing, she's content with who she is today, knowing that what is to come will unfold. But the more we are at peace with ourselves, the more peaceful the journey becomes. Because we can't stop, we can't control, we can't stop moments from happening. Fated moments will always happen. We're going to lose people in our lives. We're going to experience hurt. We're going to experience betrayals, like those things. But if we stop betraying ourselves and we stop hurting ourselves, we stop being so cruel and mean to ourselves, when we stop being our own worst enemy, when those moments happen, we know we can sit in love. And we know that we can allow ourselves to fall apart. And then we know that when we hit that contentment, there's always people to hold us. And I remember when my grandmother passed, little Pansy. Before she passed, we had found out she was sick just that day, or couple days before. Can't remember the exact story. So it's like it's only the way I'm remembering it for me, not the way it is for anyone else, because I wasn't in Newfoundland. I waited 6 years to go home, back to Newfoundland. I had been here 6, 7 years, and I had not been back because of pain, because of stories, because of other things. And I waited so long to go home. And I booked the trip to go home, thinking that I knew when to go home, but I had to work. Weddings need to be done. Things need to be done. I had to. And then we found out she was sick. And I had just booked the flight to go home. And I called and said, I'm coming today. And she said, you don't need to come today. You can wait a few more days. I didn't have a few more days. That night, she had a massive heart attack. The next day, I was driving to the airport to get on a plane, and she passed. And that moment, I made a lot of crucial mistakes in not telling my daughter, a lot of things that, that I listened to other people instead of following my heart. I didn't have the money to put both of us on the plane. Others, there was money that could have been given so that they could have helped, but they didn't. And I'm like, but I got home to my grandmother's house, and I knew she was there, and I had to make peace. And she just told me, just make peace with this, Corey. You didn't need to see me. You know I'll always be with you. And so through this card, I always know she's always there. And so just knowing that you don't have to live with regret of what you didn't do. It's not worth carrying. The love is always there. And whatever stories were here upon earth, when they leave, it's all set free. We are all set free. There's no judgment. There's no criticism. There's nothing. And so this beautiful, peaceful perspective is where I want you to place your sight today, in creating a peaceful future. Seeing yourself in contentment is one of the greatest virtues that we can give ourselves. To live a peace where we are content, peacefully setting ourselves free. And that's what I leave you with today. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for always being with me. I love you all dearly. Much, much love. And I do have to go call back this number because I'm in way longer than I thought I'd be in today. Much love. Have a beautiful day. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day. All about love. And remember our original card. Let's show her again. Our original card was unity. Our other card we couldn't find a picture for, but unity. And then we have our cosmic beautiful. So just be your beautiful self today. It is more than enough.